video will take you through the process of creating your own ICO file to replace the default ICO file that Tkinter uses in your Christmas card application window. To do this, you're going to need to use the GIMP application. Open GIMP. Right, now that we've opened GIMP, we need to create a file. And the file is going to be a specific size. So we'll go File, New. And because we're creating an icon file, we want it to be quite small. So the largest icon that we're going to create is 128 pixels by 128 pixels. So go ahead and type that in both of those and then click OK. The background colour of this one came in as the Christmas red that just so happens that I'm looking for, but if yours might not have, so you need to click into the background over here and you need to choose, and so the notation, the HTML notation for the Christmas red is D6001C, and then click OK. Then take your fill bucket and fill it in. Now I'm filling in the background colour. Okay, so you make sure you use BG because it's the background here that you're filling in, not the foreground, which is this one. Next thing we want to do is find a Christmas green for the foreground. So click into the foreground colour and we'll see if we can get a Christmas green. Now, just so happens the Christmas green that I'm interested in is this one, which is 1B8335. So I've got my Christmas green in my foreground and my Christmas red in my background. So I'm going to click OK on that. Make sure you click on the FG colour fill so that it's the foreground, this one here, that's filled in for the tree. Because an icon file is so small, it's very difficult to work with a graphic when this is the size of it. So let's zoom in on it here to 400%. That's better. Now we can see what we're doing as we're drawing the icon, but always remember that you're zoomed in to 400%, which is 4 times its normal size. So you don't need to put in the detail that you would with a normal graphic, because our eyes just can't see it. Let's draw the Christmas tree now. So we need a layer, so click over here in my layers palette. If you can't see your layers palette, go to Window, menu at the top here, Dockable Dialogues, and choose your layers there. But I have mine, so down at the bottom of this palette you'll see a plus, and this is for a new layer. Give it a click and I'm going to call it Christmas Tree. Make sure it's transparent and then click OK. Make sure you click into that Christmas tree so that it is the active layer. Now we're going to use the freehand tool for this so that we can draw our own selection. We don't want a rectangle, we don't want an oval, we want to select our own shape, and we're selecting it so that we can fill it with green. We're not really interested in putting a border on it just now, but we can do that later. Right, so let's take the free select. We'll start leave enough room for our star, so we'll kind of start about, and not right in the middle, start about there, and then we'll come over and down a bit. And if you hold down Control as you're doing your horizontal, you'll get a straight line, and back up to the top, and then let go. Now to make this an actual selection, you hit enter. Now if you're not happy with any of these vertices, you can move them about. You can do this until you press enter. It's only once you press enter that it actually becomes a selection. Right now you've got the ability to move your selection about, so maybe I want it to be more like that. Yeah, now I'm ready to hit enter. It turns into your classic selection, and take your fill bucket and fill it in. And we need to deselect it now, so we'll go select none. Let's get the second triangle now, so take your free select and I want this to be quite big but not totally perfect, and then hit enter. Take your fill bucket and fill it with colour, and then back up to your select menu, select none. So take your free select and make this quite big. Hit enter to select it, take your fill bucket and boom. Right, deselect that, select none. Next we want our tree trunk, so let's get a colour for the tree trunk. I've got a nice brown colour here and it's 6B3D16. A tree trunk kind of looks like a rectangle, but because this is offset and we're creating it all in the one layer, we need to follow this line. So there's no reason why you can't use this free select again, and you're just clicking on, try and get the midline and then move over slightly to one side. Hold down Control so you get straight lines. But you're finishing it off, don't hold down Control for this bit because you want it to be on the line of your green, yeah? So it's squared down here at the bottom but not here. Then make sure you've got your brown colour as your fill, take your fill bucket and fill that in. And then select none. And the next thing we want to do is put what will we go for? A yellow bucket at the bottom. Use the rectangle for this. Now I need to go and get some sort of yellow. So I've got CEEB24. Now I've got my rectangle tool and I'm just going to draw it. I've got my square handles that I can make it less of a rectangle. I think I'm happy with that. And then I'm going to take my fill bucket and fill that in. Yep, that looks good to me. I'm going to use that exact colour for the star. So we'll go select none so that that's not flashing. Now remember we're zoomed in, and now I want to put a star on here. So we'll take the free select tool for this, leave your fill as that, and let's start the star. So we know that we want the two legs to come down here, the two wee arms, and the top is slightly there. So we'll start here and then down and then along and then down, then back out, but down as well, and then up, then down, then up, back out here, back in and up. We should have a crazy star shape, which I'm quite happy with. Hit enter. Now while it's flashing, but before you've filled it, you've got the option to move it because it's slightly not on top of the tree, which could be worrying. So take your move tool, make sure you click the option for move selection, and then drag your selection to the position you want it to be in. So I'm kind of wanting it to roughly be there, and then what I want to do is fill it. So I'll go to my fill and fill it in, and then select none. That looks quite good. Happy with that. Now last thing I want to do is put in some just wee tiny lights onto my tree, just a few, because remember this is just an icon, so you're only going to see the basic shapes. So I'll take a circle and I want a blue light, a light blue light. Well, you don't really get light blue lights, do you? They're usually really deep colours at Christmas, so I like that. And I've got my oval selected, so I'm going to select that shape and then fill it. Yep, then select none. Yeah, that looks good. And I'll do another one here. If you hold down shift, it forces it to be a circle. So if you're not wanting oval lights, you want actual circles, just hold down shift as you're drawing it. Then take your fill bucket and just fill it in. Remember to do select none so that you deselect it. Okay, what other colour do we want? Let's have a look at the colours. I feel as if I need purple. I like that because it's the kind of same shade. So we'll go OK on that. Take our oval. Remember to hold down shift and drag out your shape. And take your... I wonder if I can do two at the same time. Right, I've got two shapes now and I'm going to fill them. Fill both of them, that's even better, isn't it? That saves a bit of time. And then select none. And let's do one other colour, orange. So we'll select a couple of orange. So hold down your shift, get your circle. And one more just about here. And then we'll go and get an orange colour. It's not really a Christmas colour, but it feels as if you need a bit of orange in your life. Take your fill bucket and it's going to fill your selections and then select none. I'm happy with that. That is going to be my icon. So I've got two layers here and I need to merge these down so that I can now make 4 different sizes of this. So click on the layer above and then right click on it, and there is an option to merge down. So click merge down and you've now got one layer. And that would be fine if we were just doing a normal picture, but this is going to be an icon file and we need 4 different sizes. This is our 128 by 128, and all we need to do is duplicate this layer and resize it. So we're going to click on the duplicate button. Let's resize this copy. So we'll go to layer, scale layer, and you can see it's 128 by 128 and it's locked, which means if we change one of these attributes, the size for width, the size for height is also going to change so that the aspect ratio stays the same, which is important. So we just want to, instead of doing the calculation, we'll make GIMP do the calculation. So we'll just say divide by 2 and then hit enter, and you can see that it's changed to 64, and then we'll go scale. And now we've got a layer which is half the size of the original, and there it is. Let's click on that one because we're going to make this, the next layer, half the size of that. So we've clicked on that. We will duplicate that layer and then we'll go layer, scale layer, and this time it's divided by 2, hit enter, and that gives us 32 by 32 pixels. So we'll scale that. You see it's getting smaller and smaller. So make sure that the 32 by 32 layer is highlighted, and then we'll duplicate that one. We'll go to layer, scale layer, and we'll divide this by 2. Hit enter, and this is going to be our smallest, 16 by 16 pixels, and we'll scale it. And remember, we're zoomed into 400%. Now that we've created all of our layers, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 128 by 128. That one needs to be the top one. I'll use this arrow at the bottom. So I've moved the biggest one to the top, then, oops, click on the arrow at the bottom to move it up, and then move it up. Right, so I'm going to rename these layers. So I'm going to right click on that, edit layer attributes, and instead of being background, I'm going to call this layer 128 times 128, and then click enter. This one I'm going to edit, and I'm going to call it 64 by 64, and I'm going to hit enter. This one I'm going to rename as 32 by 32, and the bottom one you've guessed it, I'm going to rename that to be 16 times 16. Now the next thing that you want to do is you want these to be positioned in the top left, so that 0, 0 is the coordinates up here. So click on this one, turn the eye off for the one above it, and then we're going to take the move tool, and this time watch out for that, we're not moving the selection, we're moving the layer, and it's the active layer, so make sure you're clicked into the correct layer. This is the active layer. So when we use this move tool now, we can position it top left, click on the layer below, turn the eye off for the layer above, and now we'll move the 32 by 32 and turn the eye off for that, and we'll move the last one into position. You might have to zoom in a wee bit more so that you can see this one. Just use your, yep, that looks perfect to me. Good, right, I'm happy with that. So back to 100%, the actual size of it, you can see it looks quite good. So there's the smaller one, smaller one, smaller one. Depends what device, the size of the app that the operating system will choose, but we've got the correct icon sized layers. Right, now we need to first of all save this, so we'll go File, Save As, and this will be an XCF file type, which is required if you ever want to go back and edit it in GIMP, because XCF is the GIMP file type. So we'll call this Christmas tree icon, Christmas underscore tree underscore icon, and I'm going to put it in images, but I want to create a folder called Christmas tree icon. Okay, so that's going to be my folder, right? And I'm going to save the file just as an XCF. Good. Now the next time what we're going to do is export it. So we'll go export. Now it should be in the correct folder, and it has got the correct name, and you can see that it's a .ico file now. If yours hasn't shown up as .ico, you can click on the select file type, and the one you're looking for, just scroll through them, you'll see all the different graphic file types. The one that you're looking for is called, I might actually have passed it, Microsoft Windows Icon, the ICO file type, and then click export. And it's giving you the layers. You can see how the icon details, we've got 4 layers, 4 different icons, and I'm happy with those, and then click export. So now it's time to add this icon file that you've just created to your Tkinter Christmas card window. So to do that, you'll need to code your Python file. So go back to your Thorny application. Okay, back in your Thorny application, but if you don't have your version 1 Christmas card open, let's go and open it. So your Christmas card, and it's in the same folder as your images folder. And in your images folder, let's just check, you've got your Christmas tree icon folder, and this is Python files it's looking for. So let's change it to all files, and you'll see your Christmas tree icon and your Christmas tree icon GIMP file. So there's your icon file, your ICO, and here's your GIMP file. Good. Right, so we know that's there. So let's open up this Christmas card version 1. And what we want to do here, before we actually put in any new code, we need to save this as version 2. So go File, Save As, and change that V1 to V2, and click Save. So we're in the right folder, and we've added a version 2. So now we're in version 2, we can add some notes about the version control. It's normal when you're adding version control notes that you put them at the top of the page. So we'll need a multi-line comment for this, and in Python a multi-line comment is a triple speech marks. So triple speech marks, and then close your triple speech marks off. Now everything between the opening and closing triple speech marks is totally ignored when the Python file is being interpreted as it's being executed, and it's there for the programmer. Notes for the programmer, so that when you go back to this program after a wee while and you've forgotten all about it, you can look at it and refresh your memory. So if you ever want to make changes to your file, you've got some notes to help you. So what we want to say, this is version 2 notes, and what we're saying is this program, this version, will program the window icon file. Now we can see that we've got more lines of code in our program, and this is really the start of our program here, isn't it? The from Tkinter import. So we'll put in here, just above where we put our version 1, we'll put a comment in here to say version 1 code. And let's come down, go to the end, click, and then come down a couple of lines. Put a single line comment in to say new code for version 2, and that will help you when you come back to look at this program. It will help you to understand what it is that you've programmed. Okay, so what we can say here is add an icon file to the window object title bar. So that's what we're planning to do. Okay, let's code this now. So it's our object, our variable is called window, and that represents the Tkinter object, and we're going to use a method here called icon bitmap, and in the brackets of the method we need to pass in a parameter which is a string containing the path and name of the file. Now we know, because we've just looked, that inside our Christmas card folder we have our Python files, and right beside the Python files is the images folder. So this is a relative file path that we're creating here, and it's a path that's relative to our Christmas card version 2 Python file. So it's images is the name of the folder, and inside images we've got a folder called Christmas tree icon, and inside that folder we've got the actual ICO file, and it's called Christmas, a minute to spell that right, Christmas tree icon.ico. Okay, let's check that this is working. So save your file and then run it, and if everything's went well, you should have a window which is the same as your version 1, but what's different for this version 2 is the default Tkinter icon has been replaced with the one that you created in your GIMP application. Excellent. Now the next thing we're going to do in this series for version 3 is we're going to add a canvas to our window, which will enable us to then draw our Christmas card shapes.